Hey, what's up, listener? Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Jock and Nerd Podcast, Nothing But Wonder Woman. It's our full spoiler review of the latest entry into the DC Extended Universe and the first ever live-action movie for Wonder Woman. Joining us is our delightful pod buddies, Kate and Patrick from the See Here's the Thing podcast. Get ready to hang out with us as we geek out about the most iconic female superhero ever, all in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Saturday, June 3rd, 2017.
Check. Check one. All right. This is really fans out there. Let's give it up. We're talking, we heard it. We're funny, disturbing. We're talking, we heard it. We're spoiler alert. Oh yeah. We're talking, we heard it. We're funny, disturbing. Oh yeah. I'm talking, we heard it. We're spoiler alert. Give it up once.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're bringing the fat beats that you can snap your neck to, like Busta Rhymes. Welcome to the Jock and Nerd Podcast,
God,
listener.
Busta Rhymes.
What?
Jesus
He's
Christ.
relevant?
No, he's not. Stop yourself.
That's the Jock, everyone. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
You just ruined my enthusiasm by,
I'm going to.
by calling me out on a Busta. It's old school hip hop. Snap
You're
your neck.
going.
No.
That's not even old school. That's 90s. That's not old school. Get the
Okay,
fuck out
well,
of here.
who do the kids bob their heads to today,
Bro, let's do
Anthony?
some Kendrick Lamar or something like that.
Like Cole? J. Cole?
J. Cole, yeah.
Lil Dicky? I love Lil Dicky.
Lil Dicky, yeah. Lil Dicky's relevant.
All right, fat beats nonetheless, crosses generations and time span. Thanks for also joining us on the podcast, listener. Very excited to have possibly the most adorable pair of podcasters that exist that I know. It's Kate and Patrick from See Here's the Thing. How's it going, you two?
Hey.
Hello.
I was doing my What Is Love dance move from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah,
We were
you
playing
can
the
do,
opening
there
music.
you go. You can do the Roxbury Twins.
Roxbury, that's it.
That tune gets stuck in your head more often than you'd think.
Now that you said it, I can't not hear it. Why did you have to say what is love?
I try to make up new lyrics for it, too. Patrick, go ahead. Tell us some of those new lyrics. It goes like this. We jockin', we nerdin'.
Go on.
No, this is where you fill it in.
No.
You have the good ideas in this group. Remember, you're the on-air talent?
I am the talent, but I'm tired right now.
Oh, why?
Oh,
Don't be
boy.
shy. Just because you're on our show now, you don't have to be shy. You're like you're like so enthusiastic on your own show, Patrick.
I'm scared to death over here.
It's fine. We're not going
Got
to
some
bite.
stuff in store. Don't worry.
Oh, good.
Jesus.
We're not going to bite. You can let your freak flag fly. Look, listener, we were on recently on See Here's the Thing. You guys had us on. We had a lot of fun. And apparently you still have listeners. So, we didn't cause any major damage. That's a win, I think. Because we were afraid we were going to ruin your show. And then
No.
Kate was on our show, but this time she's brought her Patrick. I love that.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
And, I have to say, I think we even helped your show a bit because we proved that Anthony has a lot to offer in the world of sports.
Yes,
Sports.
Yes, people were very surprised with his guest appearance there. They're like, damn, that jock knows his shit, I guess. Where I'd never give him a chance to talk any of that here. I just shut that down right away. Because really, who cares? I don't want to hear that. I want to talk about guys in tights flying around and sometimes women in tights flying around.
Yes.
This time it's women in like body armor.
Yeah, and kick-ass body
Costumes.
armor.
Oh, the
Yeah.
costumes were so good.
She
Very
even threw
good.
out the tights. She threw out the tights completely.
She didn't have any pantyhose on.
She didn't.
My mom would not approve.
We're talking about Wonder Woman, by the
Yes,
way.
look, if you were
Not
you-
Patrick.
If Patrick does not, Patrick, you didn't bring your pantyhose. Look, if you are a new listener, thanks for stumbling on the show. I don't know how you got here, but we welcome everyone: freaks, geeks, jocks, nerds, and even Patrick. This
He's in there
is
somewhere.
we are a weekly geekly show where we love to discuss comic books and superheroes in the movies, in the TV, in pop culture. But this show is going to be very focused because we are super excited to talk about this new latest DCEU installment, the fourth one, Wonder Woman, and what it means, why it's so exciting, because, and we'll get into that. It's going to be amazing. And Kate and Patrick, Kate, you had this booked from a long time ago, so we're really glad to have you here. You know what?
I called dibs on it.
You did. You called
Yeah.
dibs, and that's kind of a tradition. I love when people and sometimes we have a line, and it's first come, first serve.
Ooh.
So you were very smart. But every time a movie comes out, people are like, "I want to be on." So I love that. This is great. we are going to get to the review right now. The Jock and Nerd Podcast. Of course, listener, I want your thoughts on this movie. I want to know what you thought about the Wonder Woman movie. Visit jockandnerd.com/contact for all the various ways to get in touch, whether it's the tweeters or the Facebooks or a speak pipe or an email. Let
Imran,
us know. Yes.
I think it's important before we get into this review to kind of see what we're working with here.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
Like this.
All right. I don't know where this is going, but
not yet. Not yet.
Okay,
Not yet. But I want to see where Patrick. Don't be scared. What's wrong with you?
I can hear him
so
sweating.
sweating.
I can hear him sweating. It's weird. I've never heard
He soiled
anybody.
himself.
I wanted to get, because me and Imran obviously do this show, but for our listeners out there, I wanted to get a quick feel for Kate and Patrick's
We need a geek baseline.
thoughts on the DC movies prior to this one. So Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad. Did you guys like any of them?
There was movies before this one?
No
there we
movie
go.
existed.
I remember clearly seeing Batman Begins in theaters. Like, it's one of those films that you remember where you sat, who you were with. And then it got really foggy for me. I don't remember where I was, who I was with. And I think back to last summer with Suicide Squad, and the hype around what was going to happen next was like the big talk. If the DC movie universe was going to ever make it, it was pinned on, the hope was pinned on Wonder Woman.
Back then, though, it was kind of pinned on Superman v.
But
Batman.
I'm talking about like after that. So like
after that, yeah.
you think about the few that preceded this, the Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, just all kind of forgettable, in my opinion. Some more than others that you wanted to forget. You wanted to just, you had so much hope for it, and it just totally missed the mark.
And just so your listeners know, we don't read comic books. We never have.
Hang on. First of all, Patrick doesn't read, period. So comic books would be in his wheelhouse because they're pictures.
He's illiterate.
Nice.
That's so sad that you're illiterate. You never learned?
We're working on it. We're
Okay.
working on
We're
it.
quite hard on this man.
Thank you. I'm
got-
an intelligent person.
We just started. He's got to dig himself out of a hole. Okay, so look, you guys are aware of the DCE. You're maybe not a fan of the movies, understandably. I mean, to us, we think Man of Steel, before this, was probably the most successful out of the three. But here's the other thing I want to know before we get into the movie is, what is your relationship with Wonder Woman? How do you remember, like, when you first were aware of Wonder Woman, and where did you discover her? Kate, let's start with you. Or Patrick, let's start with you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Patrick wants to go before I insult him again.
No, yeah, I want to hurry up before she gets another dig at me.
Okay, that's a good point. Patrick, you start.
No, I growing up in the child of the 80s and late 70s, I was a huge fan of Saturday morning cartoons and the Justice League.
Yeah.
And watched Wonder Woman in cartoon form and watched her ride around her invisible jet, which I had all the questions about. And then Linda Blair in the 70s, late 70s, Linda Blair spinning around and twirling.
Linda Carter, you mean?
Linda Carter.
Yeah.
Linda
Blair also, she did twirl, but it was just her head.
Bitch.
And then she was
Linda
puking.
Carter.
She was doing things with a cross that we
sorry.
probably shouldn't mention.
No, Linda Carter. In fact,
That's a fun mashup.
Linda Blair, Exorcist Wonder Woman. I love it.
So as we were walking out of the theater, one of our friends said, "Oh, I'm so upset that Gal Godot didn't spin around."
That's how she changed. So, look, actually, I wanted to start. Kate, what about you? When was the first time you saw Wonder Woman?
I am having a hard time right now thinking of that moment. I feel like she might have been a little bit outside of the fringe of when I started watching superhero, mostly cartoons, really, for me, was the start, the Batman animated series, and then, of course, all the wonderful Batman movies in the 90s, which we know that there are a lot of them.
Yes.
We could talk all day on those films, but I don't think that she was really in my sphere.
Okay.
I truly don't. I think she escaped me until now, and now I don't want to let her go.
Yeah, that's interesting. Anthony, what about you? When is the first time you remember liking the Wonder Woman?
I mean, obviously, when I was a little girl, I was just marking out over the Wonder Woman. No, I mean, Wonder Woman, I kind of like Kate. I mean, I obviously read comics now, but she was never someone that was really on my radar.
Yeah.
I guess that's just me being a guy. I was always, if it was DC, it was Batman or Superman. I was always knew that Wonder Woman existed, but I never really knew her origin. I didn't really know what she was all about. I kind of learned that as I've gotten older and like started reading comics instead of just looking at the pictures. So I had a pretty good understanding of who she is now, but there's no real time that I remember. I always was aware of the character. I just didn't care about the character.
That's the most interesting thing about Wonder Woman is a ubiquitous, high-profile name, really. Like, if you just tell anybody to yell out some superheroes. They're going to go Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Hulk. Everyone was aware of her, but nobody really knew the details. And
yeah, that's interesting. Like, she's the what? Like, if you were to get like 10-year-old me out, be like, hey, which female character, superhero do you think of first? I'd go Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
like right away. And then people would be like, well, what do you think about her? What's her origin? I don't know. But that Wonder Woman would be the first one.
Let me guess, you looked exactly the same now as you did as 10-year-old you, probably. That's what I'm guessing.
I was going to say, what's the difference between 10-year-old you and now?
Yes.
I was probably better looking back then.
Oh, shit. Well done. No, look, I remember watching the Super Friends cartoon early on, and then, really, if you're someone of my age, this right here is where you met Wonder Woman.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
All the world's waiting for you and the power you possess.
My favorite line.
In your satin tights, waiting for your ride, and they all red, white, and blue.
But yeah, she never wore tights, so I know that's just like a 70s forced lyric, or like we need something to rhyme with rights. Let's just say
tights.
Let's just say she wears tights. I don't know. But that, this show with Linda Carter was really where you learned about like the Amazons and her, Paradise Island and Steve Trevor, and I still love that musical. So of course, listener, we're going to start with our review. So I have to press this button.
Let's spoil some shit, Batman.
It's a DC themed spoiler alert from the Rug Boy.
R.I.P.
Where is the Rug Boy?
R.I.P.
Rugs couldn't be here because he's what?
He's resting in peace.
Oh,
yeah.
he's tired. He's taking a nap. That doesn't mean he's dead. He's just resting in peace. No, he can't see he's watching the movie now, basically. Like he just, we're like we all saw this Thursday night.
It's a moving train, and it's all aboard at this time that it stops at the station or not.
Exactly. He gets on when he gets on. We'll get his thoughts next episode. And if you join our Patreon, you'll get his initial thoughts, and you can hear our thoughts on everything. But let's set this up a little bit with a little bit of history. Look, Wonder Woman's first appearance, All-Star Comics #8 back in 1941. Created by William Moulton Marston and Harry G. Peter. And Marston is a very interesting character. We may get into that at the end of the show. This movie holding a 94% Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Oh, shit.
Holy crap. For a DCEU movie, the previous of which I think haven't cracked like 30% or 40%.
Man of Steel was the highest.
Man of Steel is the highest. At this thing, boom, 94%. So right away, you're like, okay, I see.
Did you guys like Man of Steel more than Batman versus Superman?
Yes.
Okay,
that's
But
kinda how I
I'll preface it with, I didn't think Man of Steel was any good either.
Yes.
Right.
So there you go.
What about Superman Returns?
I liked Superman Returns.
With Kevin Spacey as the bad guy.
I liked Superman Returns.
And
Man of Steel,
Ruth.
Incidentally, 55% on Rotten Tomatoes.
55%. And then they come up, they get
And then the other two were in the like 20s.
Like 20, yeah, it was like 23, 27. So right away you're like, okay, this is different. There's something there.
This immediately there's like this movement prior to this movie coming out that like Rotten Tomatoes or critics just were biased against DC films. So that's immediately nullified with this. I mean, the 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not a
there's no DC bias.
There's no DC bias. There's a shitty superhero movie bias. That's all it is.
So continue.
Box office wise, it's still very early. It just came out, so we don't really have opening weekend numbers. But the production budget of $149 million.
You got some stuff. Do you? I have it pulled up.
Okay, well, I know Thursday it made $11 million.
Thursday made $11 million.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Which is good. That was on pace to Guardians. And Friday, as of this morning, it made $38.85 million.
Wow.
Which is right on pace with Guardians. So it could bring in 100 million this weekend. It brought in 47 million worldwide, so it's up to almost 85.6 million.
That's very good. It's been out for 3 days, and this movie didn't even open internationally early. I don't think
No,
it opened
all same
everywhere,
day.
all same day and date. So
It's doing well. It's gonna do very well.
promising.
It's got the top domestic debut for a film directed by a woman.
This is very important. Yes,
The only other one that is even close, which really makes me kind of angry, because
Yeah.
I read this and I went, well, then Wonder Woman should be higher.
Yes.
50 Shades of Grey made 85 million.
Lame.
Wow. Sam Taylor Johnson's that's correct. So, this is the movie where you're going to have to start comparing this to just, directors. Forget that she's a woman. She's up there with male directors. But this 11 million preview also tops Doctor Strange's preview, Ant-Man's preview, Thor's
Right.
preview, and sits just behind Guardians, man. All good stuff. So, yeah, I could see it doing 100 million opening weekend. I think it's on its way, and the word of mouth is going to help, and it's going to continue to dominate. Let's look at the creative talent real quick. Rundown. Of course, we said directed by a woman, Patty Jenkins, who has given us Monster. Has not really directed a big.
She was gonna do Thor: The Dark World,
She was going to do Thor: The Dark World,
and then the creative differences.
she's not really done a giant blockbuster action movie. This is a first for her.
Not to throw the show too off path,
Yeah.
but I read that for Thor: The Dark World, her idea was to do a Shakespeare in space kind of thing,
Oh,
and Marvel was not about it. So that's why they parted ways.
Goodness.
I don't know. That could have kind of worked. I mean, Thor lends itself to that a little bit. But we have writing credits, story by Zack Snyder. When I heard that when this movie was coming out, I was like, boy, is this going to be a problem? But turns out not so much. Alan Heinberg and Jason Fuchs, and screenplay by Alan Heinberg. So, real quick, Gal Godot. And I believe you say her name Godot. Is that not right? Do you guys know how to pronounce her name?
Well,
Anybody?
we're such good friends now.
Right. You're besties.
She and I think it's Godot, but maybe it is Godot.
I only said Godot because she was on Fallon last week, and she's adorable promoting
Yeah.
the movie. And
Yep,
she
yep.
said Gal Godot. Somehow
always
she
thought it
said
was
her whole
Godot.
name. I thought it was Godot too, but she said
Well, you have here
She
written,
should know.
you have here written Glad Godot, so it doesn't really
that is
fucking
her
matter. Huh?
sister. That's her sister who did not. She also tried out, but they went with Gal, and they don't talk anymore. So.
She has every right to be
Houseless
glad
shit.
right now.
She's not. Yeah, she's
doubt.
she's not very glad. Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, Connie Nielsen as Wonder Woman's mom Hippolyta, Robin Wright as her trainer Antiope, Danny Houston as General Ludendorff, David Thewlis as Sir Patrick, Saeed Tagamui as Samir, Ewan Bremer as Charlie, Eugene Braverock as the Chief, Lucy Davis as Etta, Elena Anya as Dr. Maru as Dr. Poison, and Lily Aspel playing young Diana. And
She was so cute.
she was wonderful. So now that we have the baseline of what you guys know about Wonder Woman and where you guys are with the DCEU movies, what we usually do is we do some opening thoughts. Then we get into what we liked, what we didn't like. And since you guys are our guests, we're going to have you start. Except to save a little bit of time, I'm going to have you guys alternate words in your opening thoughts going back and forth.
Oh, good.
Okay, do you know what I'm thinking right now?
Yes, and I'm hungry too.
Okay. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
I,
Loved
Gal,
Godot.
because
She's
quite
sporty,
and
very
attractive,
in
the
tights,
suctioned
closely
around
her.
behind.
All right. Well,
Nice.
well, very well done, you guys, man. You guys are like mind readers. How'd you do that?
That is the official review on IMDb.
That's the first one, certified fresh. All right, look, thanks for just humoring me on that one. But Kate, for real, why don't you give us your
That was the
opening
real
thoughts?
thoughts.
That was the real thoughts.
I think that's a good idea for a podcast.
Right? You should do the whole show that way. Holy
The entire
crap.
show. Nobody would ever know what we're going to talk about.
Nor would we.
It would be
yeah.
a totally improvised podcast every single week.
Spontaneous,
It is for me.
the pod. Yeah.
It is for me anyway.
Earwolf Network is hearing this, and they're going to pick us up.
Oh, boy. Here comes the deal. Will be in the email tomorrow.
Well, I have to point out first, actually, I just said IMDb. when I went on IMDb to refresh my memory of who was in the cast, there was a little thing halfway down the page that said, oh, people who like this movie also liked, and there was like 6 movies. Mm-hmm. Amongst them, The Mummy and Baywatch.
Wait, which one?
That's odd. Yeah,
the one that's not even out yet.
One, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
I was hoping it was the old one.
people who like this also liked Baywatch?
Oh, really?
I can't trust you, IMDb, right now. You've thrown my confidence with this.
It makes no sense.
Makes no sense. Let's see, where should we start? Let's start with the beginning. It's a very good place to start.
Okay.
Cool new DC opening scroll.
Kind of like
It
a
was cool.
Marvel-esque MCU thing a little bit in their own way.
Very much.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I saw that, I forgot temporarily that I was watching a DCEU movie. I thought that this had a very Marvel feel from the get-go. And I would say for the first, I don't know, third of the film, we sat transfixed. We didn't move.
Yeah.
Nobody in my group moved.
Nice.
And I guess to go back a little bit before the movie even started, our theater did not fill up quickly.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we got there about an hour before to get in line, and there was maybe 5 people in line.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was getting a little nervous, like, oh no, they're not going to turn out. By the time the movie started, the movie theater was pretty full. I don't know if it was a sellout. It was pretty full.
Yeah.
And I think just because the pacing to start was so slick that nobody had a chance to react to anything. And when we first started hearing the reactions from the crowd was when there was humor.
Yeah.
And then we finally heard, like, okay, phew, they like this. They're into this. The opening scroll was awesome. And I love that they tied it back into BVS with the whole Bruce Wayne finding the picture and having it delivered to her to start the movie.
And that was a cut scene, or a post-credit scene, wasn't it?
It was a short scene, I think.
It was a weird like trailer scene in the movie, which they didn't handle very well. But yes, it was in Batman v Superman.
Okay. What do you think, Patrick? What do you want?
Well, right off the bat, I want to tell you that, like Kate said, we got to the movie theater. There was literally 5 people standing in line, and they announced that they were going to let us go an hour early into the theater. So as we walked into the theater, the previous movie was ending.
Yeah.
And it was Pirates.
Oh boy.
And
nobody was there.
Nobody was there.
Geez.
Nobody. Like, we watched all the credits and the final cut, the post-credit scene of Pirates when nobody was in the theater. Like, we were amazed.
Wow. Nobody's going to see that.
Well, we had people in our group that wanted to see Pirates, and we're like, this is awful. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be watching this. So I thought that was interesting. I also thought that if DC was going to make Wonder Woman successful, it had to change everything. It kind of had to like shake the Etch a Sketch and redo how they think about movies.
Yeah.
I know that they got the memo about the dark and the unfunny and they did. They really kind of took those criticisms to heart, and they made this one lighter, and they made this one funnier, and they made the lead characters way more likable.
Oh, everyone was likable.
Yeah. And you ended up rooting for the hero, which I have always felt in DC movies was missing.
Yeah.
I never rooted for Batman or Superman. I wanted to kill them both. I was so angry at both of them.
I felt bad for Martha.
Pick which Martha.
Which Martha? Yeah.
I'll let you decide.
Yeah. So I thought they did a really great job with reloading everything. And, you know, even the little thing like everyone knows that theme music. From Batman v Superman. How awesome was that theme music for Wonder Woman?
Yeah, and you were waiting for that to come in.
So you sit down in the theater and you're like, I'm 5 minutes into this and I haven't heard that music.
I was waiting for the opening scroll to pop up.
Yeah.
It didn't.
And then they saved it for the perfect time.
Yes, they did.
So, like I said, I was very impressed that they have taken a couple pages from Marvel and they seem to be kind of maybe on the right footing now.
The opening, like, maybe 5-10 minute segment of the women fighting on Themyscira was just
fantastic.
So much butt was kicked.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to see women of all ages fighting, especially Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright. I loved them in this. And when I read, prepping for the show, that originally Nicole Kidman was supposed to play Diana's mother,
right,
I was like, thank God. I do like Nicole Kidman in some certain movies. I don't think that she would fit in this one.
No, Connie Nielsen has kind of like a world weariness about her and a grit in this. And Nicole Kidman, you would just been like, oh, that's fucking Nicole Kidman.
I would not follow her into battle.
Anthony, opening thoughts overall walking out of this movie. What was going through your head?
So I've been labeled a DC hater.
Oh, dear.
Rightfully so, because the DC movies up to this point have been terrible. So coming into this movie, I was very optimistic because there were a lot of great reviews. The trailers looked good. I liked Gal Godot and Batman v Superman. I was optimistic, but I was very cautiously optimistic. And this isn't one of those situations where it's just like putting lipstick on a pig and it was like the best looking of the worst. This is actually a good film, so I will give DC credit. They really made an awesome film that I actually really enjoyed. It felt like a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, the way they took the cues with the humor. The film reminded me a lot of actually Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah.
That same sort of feeling where it's like this character is just doing good because she's a good person.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Steve Rogers. They put a little twist on it with her being very naive to what's going on in the real world. And one of the big things I liked is I've criticized DC films for not having any character growth throughout their films. Like the end of Man of Steel, the end of Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, all those characters don't really change all that much. And if they do change, that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Correct.
This character changes a ton. This character, but also remains good. This character goes in from being like really good and naive to learning about humanity and learning that humans are kind of shitheads and still wanting to do the right thing. And that's character growth. So I gave this movie, I was thoroughly happy with this movie. For the first time, I walked out of a DC film and I was like, wow, I would watch that again. This isn't fucking miserable. This was funny. This was a character I could root for. I have to give DC credit. They actually made a good one.
I mean, I agree with all your guys' thoughts. I was really nervous going into this, but they managed to give us a solid origin, and now we have a definitive origin of Wonder Woman moving forward. Like, I just think about the little girls that are going to be watching this growing up and wanting...
Little girls.
Well, all girls.
What about 32-year-old women that maybe went on Amazon to buy a Funko Pop right after the movie?
And a God Killer sword and shield. Can we get those yet? I want one.
Imran, we already have our Halloween costumes picked.
Oh, let me guess. A little Steve Trevor, a little Wonder Woman?
No, I really can't pull that off.
No?
No.
Oh,
No.
Patrick, you look just like him.
Patrick's going to be Etta Candy.
Oh, there we go.
No, even better.
Actually, well, I mean, if you haven't guessed, I'm going to attempt Wonder Woman, but Patrick is also going to wear the same costume.
Yep.
And he's going to be Wonder Woman's sister.
Yeah, Judy.
Judy.
That's
woman.
Glad
Judy
Godot,
woman.
played
Judy
by
woman.
Glad Godot.
Judy Prince. And
Judy
Prince does not carry a sword or a whip.
She enters the room about 5 seconds after Wonder Woman in a huff.
I just got here. Can I help? What happened? And it's all
tired.
everything's over.
She's got a burger wrapper in one hand. And
Yeah.
Let me guess.
That's right.
Judy Prince has a different father, I'm guessing.
Oh,
Is that what happened?
definitely.
yeah, his name is
not-
Hal.
Yeah, not a half god. So
Hal Goldstein.
Hal Goldstein puts her at a disadvantage. But man, yeah, when this movie was over, I had that fuck yeah feeling. And Anthony, you said it in our instant reaction on Patreon. It felt like an MCU movie. It was a single story focused. The beginning 2 acts of this movie are just paced perfectly. And like you guys, like you said, everyone is quiet because they're giving you this awesome story and it's moving and it's sinking in and you want to see where it's going. So all of our opening thoughts seem to be the same. Let's just start with, let's talk about one thing we liked.
Sure.
We'll go backwards. So, Anthony, you start. Go backwards, round robin.
Oh man, there's so many things I like.
There's a lot.
Well, we'll probably cover it because everyone enjoyed the movie. I'll start with the lead, Gal Godot, or Gal Godot, apparently, as Imran is now saying, or Glad Godot, or whatever the hell Imran wants to call her now. There was a lot of initial criticism when she was first cast. Oh my God, it's a model. Like, she's not big enough to be Wonder Woman. Little do people know that she was fucking in the Israeli army, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what she looked like. She was actually trained. But she's not just a pretty face. I thought she pulled off the naivety well, the humor well. The action scenes were very credible. I thought she owned the role, and she was good in Batman v Superman, but I wasn't like, wow, this is the best thing ever, because she was only in the movie like 11 minutes. Whereas this film, she had a whole film where she could display her acting chops. And I don't know if she's like this amazing actress, but her accent and her physical charisma and just how freaking gorgeous she is, she just works as Wonder Woman. Like, this is the definitive Wonder Woman.
It is. It's perfect.
I mean, and you know, me being a meathead guy, of course, like, she's amazing to look at. Like she literally has this like physical charisma on screen where you just can't take your eyes off her.
Yep.
She's magnetic.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing that's pretty cool. She was pregnant.
Yes.
Doing some of the reshoots.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, it's stunning. And I can't take my eyes off her when she's on the screen. But the sense of wonder in her facial expressions, like very nuanced and very for a model turned actress. And you know, you say she's a model turned actress, but there's tons of dude actors who were models that turned actors. You know, and we're never like, oh, he was a model, now he's an actor.
There was like a perfect combination. First of all, the writing for her character was very good.
Yes.
Because there was constant dichotomies. She at 1 minute would be pretty darn fierce, but noble.
Yeah.
And then she would be completely innocent, but steadfast in what she was feeling. And she had so many different facets to her character that she showed us beautifully.
She played innocent to badass very well in the whole range. But like when it's snowing, and even when she's like, "You're a man," like you see it in her face. She's never seen a fucking man before.
Yeah.
The ice cream bit was fantastic.
I got one scene that like was the pinnacle moment with her in the movie for me, and where I was literally like, I'm all in. This is the character I'm in. This movie is I like this movie now. Like, I know I like it. And it's the scene where she's in the trenches and she's arguing with all of them, and they're like, "You can't go into no man's land. Like, we've only been fighting for inches. You're like, just take your time. We'll get to this spot." And she's just like, no, there's people dying out there. I have to get out there. And she like literally starts just taking off her clothes and just jumps out there. But they do it like they film it in like a very slow way.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the most epic scene. That's going to be the scene that people will replay like over and over, because like that just what she's arguing for is, and it's so black and white. It's literally like, people are dying.
We have to help them
right now. Like, why are we waiting? Let's help now. And it's the scene that makes me go, this is the fucking movie right here.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the scene that was almost cut?
That scene almost didn't make it, and arguably it's going to be a favorite scene. It's
really,
it
almost didn't make it.
It's one of the best scenes in the movie. It shows how badass she is, and it shows. It said Patty Jenkins revealed. She says, "It's my favorite scene in the movie and the most important scene in the movie. It's also the scene that made the least sense to other people going in, which is why it's a wonderful victory for me." She says, "I think that in superhero movies, they fight other people, they fight villains. So when I started to really hunker in on the significance of No Man's Land, there were a couple people who were deeply confused, wondering like, well, what is she going to do? How many bullets can she fight?" And I kept saying, it's not about that. This is a different scene than that. This is a scene about her becoming Wonder Woman, and arguably she does become kind of Wonder Woman in that moment, and in the very end when she thinks she kills Hermes.
You mean Ares?
I mean Ares, not
Hermes.
Hermes is the guy who
Gal Godot, Ares. Let's call the whole thing off.
What
Hermes
else?
is in Futurama.
Who is
Hermes is in Futurama.
Ares?
Oh, no, he said Hermes.
He said Hermes.
I said herpes. That's why I meant
Herpes.
No, herpes is the Greek god of ointment. What else did we like? Who's got another one?
I'll take one.
Okay.
I'll take one. I really like Chris Pine. We were talking with somebody recently that said they hadn't seen the movie yet. And he said when they announced that Chris Pine was going to get that part, he thought, crap, that's it. That means that Chris Pine's being brought in to do the comedy, and that Gal Gadot's dialogue just got cut in half. And he was concerned that the movie was going to be real heavy Chris Pine. And it wasn't. It really wasn't. And I thought he did a fantastic job.
I had a moment like Anthony had with Miss Godot. I wasn't sure if I was liking his performance or if he was enough. Because I was thinking, if any other actor was doing this part, reading these lines, would it be passable? Because I don't know if for the first half of the film, he stands out just as himself. But then towards the second half of the movie, especially the scene where he tells her he's got to go up in that plane.
Oh, yeah.
It just hit me right in the feels, and I thought, yep, that's where he excels. Is he's so earnest about this need to fight, and we don't really discover his backstory at all, which I would love to find out. We don't know why he's pushed to do good.
Oh, yeah.
But that scene was just beautiful. And how they shot it with her not being able to hear at first, and then they went back and showed us what they said. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I did love that.
That was amazing too.
Yeah.
And I just want to comment, his character is really written well as well, because she doesn't fall for him because he's just this good looking guy. She falls for him because he's kind of like her. He just wants to do good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in that scene, but it's reflected, throughout the entire film when there's funny moments, but it's also laced with like him wanting to do good, like that, him being like, I lied to them. We're still going to go to the front. And he wraps the lasso around his wrist, and he's telling the truth. Like, he just wants to do good. And that's what she sees in him. She's like, there's a kinship there. So he's written really well. And I thought he was funny. I thought his character added that dose of humor that makes the situation just a little bit more light, and doesn't make it like Batman versus Superman, where we're sitting there and it's just this miserable film and there's nothing to laugh at.
But it doesn't get campy. Also, it's very
very
genuine.
situational.
It's situational, which is the most important thing, and it's kind of underplayed. And I was afraid that he would like overshadow her and steal the movie.
Yep.
And I don't think he did. I think he was equally important. And he's not dumb. Like, we're kind of him. Like, he's figuring out that she's special, that she's different, obviously, that she's got powers, and already figuring out, like, here's how I can use this powers. Let's pick up this piece of metal, get her to jump on it. Like, he's connecting the dots, and I appreciated that. And that they didn't really, he wasn't really, she did save him. So it was kind of like a reverse damsel in distress, but a great, like, nod to Christopher Reeve's, Superman, the Donner film in the alley, with the bullet, and just to reverse that. I love those little Easter eggs. And he's slightly above average, we found out. So.
Now, is it in the comic books that his character doesn't die? Somebody told me that they were upset that they killed off that character because he doesn't die in the comics.
He's around in the comics, and they modified the origin a lot. It was in World War II when she was created.
Yes,
they made this for World War I. So, like, physically, if you're trying to keep this realistic, he couldn't have been alive anyways. But yeah, he never sacrifices himself like that.
Is it possible that he parachuted out at the end of the movie?
We didn't see it. We didn't. It wasn't on camera, so you never.
He signed a multi-picture deal.
See, that's confusing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do that. But even so, in the original comics, like, he's around in the World War II, and in the 70s show, doesn't it take place like in the 40s, but then he's around present time. So yeah, it's a little confusing. I'm not sure where they're going to go from there. But in this context, he kind of needed to be that sacrifice. And
maybe he gets a little injection, and he's able to live forever.
I mean,
Oh no!
I mean, he does.
I honestly, I hope he doesn't come back, other than in flashbacks.
Yeah,
because that scene was so good. Ironically, again, another scene that reminds me of Cap.
Yeah. Yep.
Because.
Yep.
In Cap, the First Avenger, same thing.
He dies.
A plane from Germany marked for big cities.
Yep.
That he rides down into the wave. Not only that, but two characters named Steve.
I know. You got Steve Fine, Steve
named
Yep.
Blonde white guys.
Both
brunettes.
white guys.
Two brunettes.
Two brunettes.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities. And I mean, both of these stories come from
both
around the same time.
Yeah.
And they do. Yeah.
Two brunettes with accents, right, Patrick?
Let's talk about
my mic's not working.
Gal's
accents. Okay.
So Gal's accent. Well, I learned something interesting. Is first of all, Themyscira looked beautiful. The effects, the way they explained that it's in a bubble. Like, I think it's really neat that they kind of explain how nobody has been able to find it, how it's hidden, and it's always sunny, even though it's like dark outside. That was great. But so since Gal isn't Israeli, I don't think she could do any other accent. So they just let her talk the way she does. And I think they told all the other women playing Amazons, they're like, you know what? You're all going to have Israeli accents now because we need all this shit. We need this to be a little cohesive, so go work. And then you'll notice, like, Connie Nielsen's and Robin Wright's accent, and the accents were kind of all over the place, but they did their best.
An Israeli accent, out here in the West isn't something that people know how to impersonate. It's not it's not a thing.
Right.
Patrick's been working hard on it.
Yeah, I know
that's
that
what
we
I
have
heard.
someone that's been working on it, but
Well, hey, let me just say one thing. I know you have a lot of Lebanese listeners, and I know that I will just offend them horribly if I try and
No, the Lebanese are already offended because she's Israeli, but the Israeli listeners will love you for trying to attempt an Israeli accent.
Because you, Patrick, at least have armpit hair.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yes, and I am an Amazon. Yes,
Very
thank
authentic.
you.
You're an authentic Amazon.
I do have a question about the whole veil over the island.
Okay.
It kept a god of war out, but some planes and pilots got in.
Accidentally,
it wasn't
yeah.
that it was specifically trying to keep him out per se. It was he had no reason to go there because he didn't know that Zeus had created another god. So the whole point, the whole thing was that they didn't want her to out herself or even know that she was a god, because once people knew that a god existed, Ares would know right away.
She was hidden god. Half god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's
it's not
kinda
that he
confusing.
didn't. Yeah, he didn't even know. Like, even if he went to Themyscira, he wouldn't be like, "There's a god here." He needed another god to like help him dominate the world.
You can't feel that yourself. You don't get that sense when you walk into a room.
that there's a
Know who
god
the
here.
gods are.
There's another. That
Well,
I mean,
if you're one with Christ, he's always all around. So
Especially in bread.
yes,
Bread and wine.
yeah, he shows
Bread
up.
and wine.
Boy.
If you have that special toaster, he shows up on your toast. No, but like, so when we get to the nitpicky side, that is a little, it makes the whole protagonist antagonist conflict a little bit muddy towards the end, but whatever. I loved the animation they used to show to describe the story of Zeus and Ares, and it was really cool looking and it worked. How about the little girl, man? That's what I'm talking about. This finally, we got character development. We see her as a little girl with tenacity, she wants to fight. She's adorable, mimicking the war, the training scenes. And then she just leaps off the fucking side of the cliff. I was like, this little girl's badass already.
Yep.
And she's like, "Hello, mother."
Yeah, it's adorable. And so they had me hooked on these Amazons right at the beginning, because when the Germans did show up, and how about giving us a great action scene right at the head of the movie? Great idea. Don't make anyone wait. But when they showed up, I was like, oh no, I don't want any of these Amazon women to die. I already dig them. Like, I've already gotten to feel for them. And then there was a lot of killing in this movie.
Yeah, but how much butt did they kick with a bow and arrow versus a gun?
Dude, badass. Like flying down with the ropes and the 3 arrow, flip over 3 arrows back, and the Germans are like, what the shit is this?
And I guess that's my high point. You guys have like said yours. Mine wasn't the fighting just on a different level this time around?
The action
The
was
fighting
great.
sequences were so well staged. It was clean. It didn't have that jarring feeling that BVS had.
Yes.
I didn't feel nauseated. Everything
Or
was
confused.
just everything was
confused,
so
yes.
slick. It was like a dance watching them fight, and I liked how they would use the slow motion for like a second, and then you kind of knew what was going to happen, and that made you even more excited when she like leapt off that horse and had the 3 arrows and it paused a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, it's going to happen.
That's a very Zack Snyder thing, and sometimes he overdoes it, and sometimes he just does it for no reason. But everything, like you said, it was very purposeful. I thought the way the fights were designed was very purposeful. And yes, this has things called establishing shots, which Snyder just doesn't seem to want to put in his movies. So you never know where the hell you are. It's jumping around. This thing is showing you the action, like that whole scene in when she's running through the streets and she demolishes the church steeple. Amazing action scene. Again, up there with like an MCU action scene. Finally, it was just awesome.
Her lasso made me think of Yondu for a minute.
Oh, a little bit with the
Nice,
zipping
Just
around.
a little bit. Yeah, the one scene where it's zipping it's in the square, I think, and she was just annihilating all the people in the square. And I for a minute was like, that's kind of like Yondu's scene because they both light up and you can follow it.
She does. What you got? She does seem to kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
How does this sit with you guys?
Imran, you pussy. What is wrong with you?
I'm just saying.
She seems like. But here's the thing.
It didn't bother me at all.
That's the name of our show.
Imran, you pussy. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's a long title.
Yeah, it's a great title.
Yeah.
We were going to tell you at the end, but we're going to rename our show that.
Honored.
She kills people in the beginning, but it's for a purpose. Because at the end, spoiler alert. I mean, did you even hit the spoiler button? Yeah, you did.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
That's another one.
But even at the end, so she's has a chance to kill Dr. Poison.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And she's killed all these people prior. And Ares is like, this is the fucking face of evil right here. And their fucking mask falls off.
That's
and you
right.
see this discarded face.
Yeah.
And in that moment, she decides she's not going to kill anymore. She's not going to kill that person.
A little Star Wars right there.
Right. So
She's
it's
defenseless.
building towards that moment where she's like, she has a chance to kill the face of evil and she doesn't. And then she has this whole line where I'm going to combat things with love. Yeah. So it's a character growth moment
Let's
for her.
just hug it out.
Right.
Come here, Ares. Bring it
Let's
in.
just hug.
Goodbye, brother.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it. Works because it is a character moment. It's purposeful. And one of my other favorite moments is when she does kill Ludendorff, and she thinks she's like, "That's it. I got him. Everyone should stop." And then she turns around, and of course, it's not stopped. And then, like, she has another revelation. It becomes even another becoming Wonder Woman moment. She's like, "Wait, men are just really shitty. I was wrong the whole time." But then something happens that undermines that, and then we'll get to that.
I don't think it did undermine.
No?
Because Ares. I know that a lot of people were like, "Well, that undermines it." That Ares was the guy that was injecting evil into people.
Yes,
but if you catch his lines, he says, "I just gave them ideas.
Yeah.
They still had a choice to do it, and they're choosing to do it."
It's a very lazy Ares. He's like, I don't actually want to do any of the work. I'm just going to suggest.
No, but
this.
it's not that. It's not. It's Ares. It's been Ares the whole time. Like, it's inherent. He's just playing on inherent human evil. Right. So I think that moment doesn't get ruined.
If you caught the tiny little scene where Dr. Poison is trying to find the idea, and Ludendorff comes in and he opens the door, and there's a little gust of wind. So you think, okay, he just opened the door. But then when it plays back, it's Ares. Giving her the idea, and that's what the wind was.
She was like, "Yeah, because that's right." Because initially she just uncrumples a piece of paper, and then she's like, "I got it," and I was like, "What?"
I caught something Imran didn't.
Oh my God! Look at this!
Yes,
you get one of those. Well done,
Talking nerd.
How about here's another awesome thing about this movie?
Yeah,
they finally injected humor in these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell? Like, the fish out of water stuff totally works because she's just so naive. Like, how about the scene where she's just dressing up and she chooses a man's outfit, basically, and then she's walking out with a freaking sword and a shield, and she's trying to, like, go through a revolving door.
I love it. She's like, "How do you fight in this?" And she's just kicking and ripping her clothes,
ripping the seams. Yeah.
And it works so well in that era because, like, she goes into the meeting about the armistice, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, your generals don't fight out there. They're
love that.
Behind the back.
I love
like,
that.
You guys don't fight. You guys just sit here and talk. Like, all that stuff, just them playing with that era of women not being important. It works so well because you have the strongest woman ever just hanging around being like, "What the fuck? What's wrong with all you guys?"
Well, and then Professor Dupin, what's his name? Professor
Lupin. That's
Professor
Harry
Lupin.
Potter.
Yeah, when Professor Lupin sees her walk in the room and he's like, "Stop talking," and your initial thought is, "Oh, he's taken back because there's a woman in the room."
Right.
And then later on, you're like, "Oh no. He knew exactly when she walked in the door. She knew exactly who she was."
Well, and that's a good point to, like, look at. And I guess we can get into this when we talk about our cons. But I was sitting next to somebody who is really not at all versed with the comic book lore or even anything about the film. I mean, they're just going to see it for fun.
Yeah.
And he, like, the minute that the camera panned over to him, she went, "Oh, he's evil."
Oh wow!
Oh wow! I
I
didn't
got
pick it
that
up.
sense from, "Oh yeah, he's evil."
So another thing I appreciated was the marketing, and I tried to stay away. Now I understand there are some places where it was spoiled, where the actor Thulis was listed as Ares. I did not see this going in, and this got me like I did not see this come, and I really appreciated that it was Sir Patrick was Ares and not Ludendorff. So that was great. Okay, so now Patrick, I know you're a little bit of a history buff. I want to ask you what you thought about the setting of this being World War I versus World War II. I thought it was very effective.
Well, it was very interesting to me because I saw the plane when the first crash, because going into the movie, I didn't know what time period we were talking about.
Right.
So when the plane crashed and I saw the type of plane it was,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, 1918,
Yep,
the 1920s, it's got to be an early World War I plane. So I kind of settled in with the fact that this was a World War I movie. And whenever they showed the Germans, there was not really talk about Nazis. It was Germans. I was okay with that.
Yep.
But then there's a scene later in the movie, and Kate and I talked about it, and she didn't see this.
I don't agree.
And what's the general's name?
Ludendorff.
Ludendorff.
He's an actual general, I believe, from history
is.
in World War I.
He
Yes,
is.
he was
He
an
is a
actual
real
dude.
human.
He's a real dude.
Isn't he also General Stryker?
He is.
Yeah,
And Wolverine,
from
yes.
Oh
X-Men.
yeah, Danny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
He
He's got
likes to
many
manipulate
ranks.
things. Yes.
Well, and I will say that this might be really wrong. I may be really wrong in this, but he walks into a room late in the movie, and I could have sworn over his left shoulder was a photo of Hitler.
Oh,
And I'll tell you, I looked at that and watched that and went, now I'm confused.
Maybe it was the Employee of the Month board.
it was Hitler's
I'll tell you
older
what-
cousin.
I'll tell you what the dead giveaveays. Obviously, I knew that it was World War I because
Right.
I'm a nerd,
Right.
and I knew what the production budget.
No,
and
you're
all
a
that.
jock.
I'm the
That too.
nerd.
That's right. I'm
And-
sorry. I'm the jock. Fuck off. All right. But here are some of the giveaways I noticed. They keep referring to the Kaiser, which is a German thing back in the 1900s or 1910s. Sorry. They also refer to the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
That's
and the
World War,
Turks.
that's the
Yeah,
World War One,
Yeah.
and they referred to it as the Great War or the war to end all wars, which
Yeah.
was always World War One.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was enough of those cues that for me it was like, okay, this is solidly World War One.
Absolutely. And they didn't say what, they never like threw up a year, but he was like, this has been going on for 4 years. So it's clearly like 1918.
Well, and here's the thing too for why they did that setting. Number one, not to copy Captain America,
Right.
but number two, it's hard to be like all humans are bad yet somewhat good if you've got Nazis running around.
Yeah.
So you can't
Yeah.
really do it with that.
Yeah, that's a little more black and white. Also,
Yeah,
there's
you're
like
right.
if for her to see the true evil of man, the combat in the first war was just way more horrific. It was still hand to hand. It was still you looking at the other enemy almost in the eyes and killing them. Whereas in World War II, they had moved on to tanks and air and a lot of air bombings. I mean, here you still had the heavy artillery, but trench warfare, man. You got you had if you popped out of there, your head was shot off, and a lot of times you were meeting the enemy with bayonets still, face to face, head on, and she got to see all the mutilations and what the result of this war to the villages was, and then you got the mustard gas tie-in, which also worked.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought all of it worked awesome.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And Patrick is like the king of continuity. If a film has a frame-to-frame error, he will find it.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to place money that he might have been correct with the Hitler poster.
That would suck that if they
Dude,
had a Hitler poster.
now I have to go back and watch just for that because that's a huge slip. I mean, this movie is tight on their details. That would be a huge slip up. Like, why wouldn't you catch that on
You know
set?
what else it could have been, though? Hitler was a painter, was he not?
He was. He tried to be.
Maybe someone brought their kid's artwork in and was like, guys, look what my kid drew. It's a self-portrait.
No, if that stupid art school, he applied twice to fucking art school.
He couldn't draw a turtle.
He was refused both times. If just that fucking art school just said yes, everything would have been different. We would have been like a Hitler, a master Renaissance impressionist painter. That's how we would have been talking about him.
Genius.
Now.
Adolf, we've asked you to draw a cross. This is not a cross.
I blame. I blame. Oh shit! You got one of those. I blame the art school. All right, look. I want to take a quick break. We're going to play a couple of promos of some fun indie shows, indie pods you should check out, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Do you like movies?
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Mr. Anderson.
Life, finds a way.
TV?
A girl has no name.
Soft kitty, warm kitty.
You didn't think I'd just disappear, did you?
Music?
Hello. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Girl, run the world.
Video games?
It's me, Mario.
Get over here!
If you love geeking out about your pop culture passions, See Here's the Thing may be the podcast for you. Join me and my co-host Patrick as we dive into a weekly digest of news clips about movies, TV, video games, theater, and more. Special guests, improv games, and terrible celebrity impersonations abound in our weekly episodes published directly on Podomatic. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google Play. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, and Pinterest. See, here's the thing. It's where humor and pop culture collide.
My name is Carrie Sims, and I host sketching comedy with my artist friends, Imran Javed.
Hey, that's me.
And Phil Rude each week live on YouTube. Hang out with us as I learn and discuss the legends of comic book art and comedians while the fellows are creating live drawings during the show. I learned Stan Lee defied the Comic Code Authority with an anti-drug comic.
That's right, Carrie, but did you know the Hulk wasn't supposed to be green? He was supposed to be gray. The printer screwed it up.
Visit BlazingCaribouStudio.com or tune in each week on our YouTube channel and download the podcast at iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever podcasts are found.
Catch you later.
Hey, my name is Paul, and I'm not an animal expert.
I'm Donna, and I'm not an animal expert either.
And together we do a podcast about animals called Varmints.
Every week, we pick an animal, do a bunch of research on it, and bring you some interesting facts about that animal.
But we don't stop there. We talk about that animal in movies, TV, and other pop culture.
And we talk about whether or not the animal would make a tasty dish, and how intelligent we think that animal is on a scale of 1 to 10.
It's exactly like one of those fancy PBS nature documentaries.
Except not at all like that really in any way.
We're on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from, and we're at BlazingCaribouStudios.com.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Hi, listener. Welcome back to the second part. And if you've been enjoying the Jock and Nerd Podcast for a while, for months, for weeks, for a couple of years, we've been going at it 2 years, won't you consider joining our fan club on Patreon? It's a lot of fun. You could join our community there. It helps keeping the show going. You cover some maintenance costs. Just visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon. And we got another new patron. Jock and Nerd. It's like 4 in the past 2-3 weeks. So it's been rolling in. Huge thanks to Stephen Tran, our latest member of the Jock and Nerd fan club on Patreon. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Oh, and Steven, I actually know you, so thanks, bud.
Steven,
I was at your bachelor party in Vegas.
Oh, shit. So all Asian people do know everybody, huh? They all know each other. Is that... Oh, shit. Right?
He's actually English. I don't know what you're talking about. Son of a bitch.
I saw his photo. That's not true. Look, I know every Pakistani person in Chicago. Just name them. I will know them. Just saying, that's how it works. So, jockandnerd.com/Patreon. We appreciate your patronage. Look, we talked about what we liked, and I'm sure there'll be more things about what we like, but the fun parts of these movie reviews for us is to kind of nitpick it a little bit and talk about, and a movie isn't perfect. There's always flaws. Doesn't mean we hate the movie, but I like pointing out things we didn't like. So, who's got one? Who wants to go first? Anthony, you got anything you didn't like?
Well, I know you didn't like the turn, and I know a lot of people didn't like that at the end. But
Well, look. So my question with that is, the whole time she's talking about the God of War, and Steve is like kind of humoring her, and then he finally tries to explain to her. He's like, "Look, Diana, it's a little complicated. This guy might not even exist. Men are just shitty. There's a lot of moving parts." And she kind of sees that men are evil. Except then when she kills Ares, they cut to shots of like all the soldiers like just being pals and like all the hatred is gone. And was it Ares causing? I mean, he was, but was he influencing them? And if that's the case, like, is there no more war in the DCEU because she killed Ares?
No, I think at that moment, yeah, it is a little like, did he cause all this? But I think they're just happy. I think they're just happy that this part of the war is over.
There was the armistice, too. That's
true.
They
had the armistice, but I don't think that war never happened. I think war continues to happen, and she's just like, I'm just gonna do good. But piggybacking off of that, one moment I didn't like, or I wish not that I didn't like it, but I wish it would have been expanded upon a little longer. Is the moment where she's like, she kills fucking Ludendorff, and she's like, how come war's not stopped?
Right,
and she looks at Steve Trevor and she's all like, what the fuck? People are like, she learns that people are bad.
Yeah.
And I wish that would have been lengthened a little, where she's like pissed off at humanity for a little longer. It felt like she was pissed off at humanity, but then right away she's like, all right, I'm going to do good. Like the movie could have been a little longer, or they could have stretched that out between maybe it's Act 2 and Act 3 instead of shoving it all at the end of Act 3 and getting right away to the boss battle. I think if they would have let that simmer a little longer.
Kind of a moment of betrayal.
That moment where she's like, humanity sucks.
Yeah.
And she has her like Spider-Man moment where she takes off she doesn't take off her clothes, but she becomes not a hero.
What movie did you watch? I missed that scene.
To go back real quick, you guys were talking about the moment where she kills Ares and then everybody seems fine. Like the spell is broken.
Yeah.
I took that. I looked at the soldiers and they were so young.
Yeah.
Like boys, mere boys. And I took that to mean like they really don't want to fight. They don't even know what they're fighting against.
Right.
They're just too young to know. And I took it as one of those times where they're just so happy that it's done. They don't have to be put in that situation anymore.
Yeah.
So, but that was my take.
No, I think that
makes sense.
I think that's probably what they were trying to go for. But if they would have just lengthened that instead of rushing right away to it's a superhero movie, we have to have a big boss battle, I think it would have made things just feel a little bit more organic than, oh, I hate humanity. Oh, I like humanity again. Sort of that feel.
Are we supposed to, and again, I apologize not being a comic book person, but are we supposed to walk out of the movie understanding that Ares is gone and never coming back?
Yes.
That's what it appears to be.
Appears to be, but it's a comic book film, so they can always come up with Deus Ex Machinas for people to come back. But you are supposed to walk out like Ares is gone. This is the only god left on Earth.
But then if Ares is gone, then there's no more war.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's in the DCEU. Is there no more war?
That's not what they're saying. The speech again. I have to go back to the speech. He doesn't say that he causes war. He's just saying that I give them ideas, but these people want to do it regardless.
So every war after that is on man. He has nothing. Men. It's men
inherently
being
evil.
Shitty.
Yeah.
He just kind of started the ball rolling.
He just lights the fucking wick, and they start getting after it.
It's a little vague, but I'll allow it.
Patrick also found it kind of convenient that at the end Ares just didn't go invisible again and leave.
Well, that was one of my issues. When she is first introduced, I think she takes a swing at him or something, and he just evaporates.
He's bamfing like Nightcrawler, just like transport. Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he gets hit. And you're like, well, how in the world did he get hit?
Look,
his power set was very vague.
Yes, and hers to some extent. We know.
Yeah.
That in like the first when she's training and she clashes and she puts her wrists together, like she kind of realizes she's more than a thing. Now, was she flying? Did she realize she could fly? I did enjoy the moment where she's discovering her powers. This is another thing that's crazy about this character is that there's no like how I got my powers. Like she always had powers, you know. There's
she was flying a little bit like she was possessed, like Linda Blair.
All right,
a little bit with the head spinning and the puking. It's a very Linda Blair. But when she's like kind of, what do you guys think of the scene where she leaps across the chasm and she realizes she could punch holes in the wall and climbs up and she's kind of the smile on her face I love because she's like, holy crap, I can do all this. This is fantastic.
She realizes she's part Spider-Man. Yeah, exactly.
Like that was a very Spider-Man scene. I was thinking about that.
Yep.
Very kind of Sam Raimi Spider-Man origin scene.
Yeah.
Was it too like campy or too weird to just have her be like, oh, I can do this now?
No.
I don't think so. I kind of enjoyed seeing her as she would discover new things about her powers. And
yes,
I at first had an issue with the whole gauntlet lightning that she seemed to find at the end of the film.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this is convenient. I can contain lightning in my nice fancy wrist cuffs. But I think that kind of goes with the whole she's discovering who she really is. She's discovering what she's capable of.
And she's the daughter of Zeus.
She's half a god, so she's actually taking
not only that, Zeus's whole thing is lightning.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I was confused by that. I'm like, I don't think Ares is the god of lightning.
No, but he's the son of Zeus.
Yeah, but it's not really his thing.
I know,
if your dad likes golf, doesn't mean that you have golf.
No, but she's got it too, and she's the daughter of Zeus.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, I had an issue. I had a couple issues.
Okay.
But I had an issue with the fact that the women on that island were worshiping a sword that would...
It did nothing for all intents and purposes.
This lasso was fantastic, but the sword's a piece of crap.
That was kind of odd that there was like a whole room for the sword in a tower that really didn't do anything.
Wasn't that to throw Diana
distract
off?
her. Yeah, to throw Diana off.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if Ares happened to show up one day? They'd be like, "Get the sword," and be like, "It broke." You know, I don't.
They're like dinner theater actors. They've got to keep him in on the con.
I have
the sword.
I have a couple other nitpicks.
Okay, so do I. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, we'll alternate.
Go ahead.
One word apiece.
Yeah, one word apiece. Well, me and Patrick could finish each other's sentences too. Little known thing.
I would pay to hear that.
Yeah,
okay.
Kate, I don't know if you knew, but me and Patrick talk, all right?
There you go.
I know Kate brought up the fight scenes and how well choreographed they are. I thought they went to the Zack Snyder slow-mo a little too much.
Too much, yeah.
I thought it was a little too much because... Not that I know that they're trying to distinguish how they're going to shoot their stuff, so I get what they're going for. I just think when I see the slow-mo, I think 1999 Matrix, and I think we're past the point. Like, this isn't The Flash, this isn't Quicksilver, where we need to see what he's actually doing,
right,
or what the characters are doing. We're just doing this because it's style, and I think you do it once, it's cool. I thought the first time with the 3 arrows was cool, but after that. Let's just get some fight choreography in here.
Yeah,
you know, that's his. But I totally agree. It's like this is the style of action scenes in the DCEU, and it's when Snyder does this in Watchmen and these movies, it's kind of like his version of a splash page in a comic book.
Right.
But that is also commonly overused. And if you read comic books in the 90s, every goddamn page was a goddamn splash page because it was all style over substance. It suffered from that a little bit, but not as much as any of the other movies that they've given us.
It didn't take me out of the movie. I was just like, oh, there's another one.
It's a new drinking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time it goes slow-mo.
Every time it goes slow-mo, you have to waterfall your drink.
Right.
Imran's
a lightweight. He'll be gone.
Oh my god,
first one.
He'll be asleep.
He was gone in the trailer.
I did not make it past the first minute. Did anybody have? I had a little bit of issue of some of the editing in the fight
Patrick
scenes.
did. Yeah.
It was a little choppy at parts when it was close combat. Patrick, what did you see there?
Well, there was actually 2 points in the movie that I thought something's wrong with the cameraman. There was a scene
He's drunk.
There was a scene where the two Chris Pine and Gal are laying down on the ground, like looking up at the sky, and like the camera like decided to like started drifting, so like Chris Pine was almost off camera, and then it slowly came back in.
Oh no!
And I thought, well, that was a very unique choice. I don't understand.
That's weird.
That. And then, and I don't know if it's in every theater, but there was one scene when Chris Pine gets on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
He sits on the motorcycle. There was maybe 5 frames, maybe 6 frames where the entire movie went sideways.
What?
Oh yes, I remember that.
Oh yeah. No, look, it's just a sweeping pan shot over like when she's riding the horse.
It didn't work for
but
me either.
It does.
No.
It is like they never do that again.
No, and it was like and like I had this feeling of everybody in the theater cocking their head to the left.
What the hell?
Yeah, like what the hell was that?
Like they were trying to be artsy, but it maybe wasn't necessary.
No, that was weird.
No.
It was just weird.
It's like Thor. It's like in Thor when what's his face, Kenneth Branagh just fucks with Dutch angles for no reason.
Right.
It gave me that same sort of feel.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we?
That's
why are we shooting this?
That
like
is
this?
kind of out of place. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the lines of the trees were compositionally nice, but yeah, it came out of nowhere. They never did it again, and they were
Never
like,
did it again or before. And
or
it was just, like I said,
before.
I thought it was an accident. Like, oh, well,
Kate, let me ask your opinion on this. The blue dress she wears
Mm-hmm.
at the gala.
Yes.
If you were to hide a giant sword in the back of that dress, first of all, wouldn't fucking people notice, hey, who's the chick with the sword? And second of all, where's the rest of the sword going?
Yeah.
First of all, if you had that much weight on your back, you'd be leading with your boobs while you're trying to walk.
And
she didn't have any.
No, but we're also supposed to believe she's still wearing her armor underneath this blue dress.
Right.
Yeah.
And her badonkadonk doesn't get in the way.
Yes.
At first, I'm like, well, maybe people could conceive that as like an artistic choice in the back of the dress. It's all
weird.
connected by a silver piece of metal.
Well, how about
perhaps?
the fact that the general gets up and grabs her around the waist and doesn't feel the sword?
He doesn't feel any of this in the armor. He's dancing with her. You feel nothing. Like, nobody notices a giant hilt of a fucking sword.
Is that a sword in your back? Or are you just happy to see me? Am I happy to see you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
No, hey, I'm gonna jump.
I got some too.
And actually, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna let Kay finish it because she and I had a conversation about this.
Okay. I mean, your sentence. Am I going to finish your sentence?
Waste characters.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Go on.
Okay. Well, okay. I'll start by saying I think you guys liked Etta. I did not.
Oh really?
Oh really? Okay.
I loved her
I
from like
feel like
Shaun of the
she-
Dead movies, and she's
she
like
was-
hilarious.
Oh, I looked that up. Yeah, I saw that. And she was on The Office, the British version of The Office.
Oh, that's how I know her.
So I think I don't know if it's actually her fault. I think she needed more. I think she was just there for a few like funny things, and some of her lines I couldn't even tell what she was saying.
That's true.
So
Some of it was
fast.
were fast. They got swallowed up. I agree. Yes.
And she was really cute and funny, but then it was like, well,
So what?
you're just going to serve the purpose of being that person in the office so that Sir Patrick can overhear where you are. That was your function.
Yes.
And I just feel like she needed a little bit more. And then I loved the band of brothers. I don't need to say another World War whatever movie, but
yeah.
their function was a little lost, especially, and here's my other sticking point. In Chekhov plays, there is the phrase, if there's a gun on the wall in the first act, it's going to be used in the third act.
Yes.
The literal gun in this movie was never used. They mentioned that the
sniper Charlie. No, I'm
couldn't
with you.
fight.
Yes.
Couldn't fire.
Yes.
Had PTSD, whatever. So I'm like, okay,
yes.
Act 3, Charlie is gonna fire
Save the
something.
day.
Yeah.
Yes, you're waiting for his redemption moment, and instead he's fucking singing songs drunk, and that's his. I'm
That's
here
it.
to sing.
Yep.
And then I thought maybe he'll be the one to like take up the plane. But then I thought, no, because we're not invested in him enough.
Oh, yeah.
I like him, but I'm not invested in him, and it needed to be Steve Trevor. So
I did like Samir and the Chief.
Yeah, I like Samir quite a lot.
And
I'll say that I liked this motley crew of characters more than I liked the crew.
Howling Commandos?
That Howling Commandos that Cap had.
I thought you were going to say Suicide Squad.
These guys a little bit more to do.
I thought you were going to say Suicide Squad.
No,
I don't know. I like Killer Croc quite a bit.
No, not Suicide Squad.
Said
No,
one
but this
ever.
is another similarity to Captain America. You have the ragtag team.
But I think this team was a bit better developed. Like by the end, they get that moment where they're like, "There's no money left."
Yeah,
and they're like,
it's okay.
"No, we're still going to help. We're
But
still going to
they
get after
set
it."
up these guys to be like each of them has their specialty.
Yeah.
But we never get to see any of their
I
specialties.
just wanted the sniper to shoot a guy successfully. That's all.
And maybe in the second movie we find out he actually did take the shot at the plane after Chris Pine jumped. Maybe that's what it will be.
There's a way.
That's how
either
we're
that
going
or-
to get him back.
I think they might have also been going for the fact that these guys are they don't really have, they're not that, they've just been lying, and they're just a bunch of criminals that really have no specialty, and they're just getting money.
Well,
and
we
by
did
the end
see
of it, they're
Samir.
like criminals that do stuff.
Samir did do something to show, because his specialty was lying.
Yeah,
And
he's a con
when they
man.
approached him, he was
That's
telling a
true.
story about his brother, the prince, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he lies his way into the gala.
Yeah.
And the chief is the guy that is like blowing out the smoke and is like, we're following him, this guy.
That's
I
his
can
claim
track
to
him.
fame.
You're gonna be the guy. I'm gonna be the guy that's
Holy
gonna
shit! I
track
didn't even
this
get
guy.
that. That was like smoke. That was kind of smoke signals. I didn't even put that together. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I got
said-
another nitpick.
He
Okay,
said,
I'm waiting
there-
for
there he
somebody
is.
to mention like the biggest one that nobody's mentioned yet. Go ahead.
All right.
I don't think I have that one,
All right.
Imran.
Go ahead.
But I loved Themyscira, but I felt like the first maybe 15 minutes, although you guys were very entranced, I was still skeptical. I felt like it was a little bit plotting. I felt like I felt like it really didn't kick into gear until
she gets to London.
No. Well, yeah, that. But prior to that, when Chris Pine crash lands in the Themyscira.
Well, I mean, I feel like they didn't waste any time. Like they showed you just enough of her as a little girl, just enough of her training.
But you're literally sitting there and you're just like, in my opinion, you're just sitting there and you're like, this is just life in Themyscira.
Well, but that's what I'm
Just
saying.
life.
For me, at that point, when you're like, okay, is this just life? Boom, here comes Steve Trevor's plane. Like, perfectly, I think it was a good point in the movie.
It's the same sort of feel that I get when I watch the Thor movies and they're on Asgard, and I'm like, I should be really entranced by Asgard right now.
But you're just not.
But I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not that entranced. I'm like, this looks nice, but okay, what's happening? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I can see that.
I got one more.
All right, go.
Okay.
Just thought of it. And this is kind of the combination of these two that didn't really work for me, and I wanted it to work because I felt like she could have had something more, but Dr. Poison,
Yeah.
I wanted to hear more about her. I wanted to find out why she was the way she was.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see what happened at the end. Where did she go?
Yeah. And
I think she's going to be around.
Okay.
That's going to be cool. I would like to see that if that's
But
true.
yeah, I
She
agree
was
with that.
intriguing as an actress. I liked what she was doing. You felt bad for her. You felt like she had like this weird love thing with Ludendorff. He was kind of just there.
Yeah.
He was there.
They didn't really explain like the blue thing and what it did.
pill.
I guess it gave him like strength.
It was more of a red herring for Ares.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I agree, like just visually with that mask, kind of like, I don't know if you watch Boardwalk Empire, I think is the first time I realized like this is like a prosthetic thing that they used in the early turn of the century. But you're like, what happened to her? The whole time I'm like, how did she end up like that?
Yeah.
I
what's
think it's
the
one of
deal?
those criticisms that Marvel gets a lot.
Yes.
Where it's like they have bad villains.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would agree that they had bad villains. And I mean, villains that weren't the most intriguing or they didn't give them a lot to do.
Villains are hard.
But it's not that I think villains are hard. I think it's, again, what Marvel does is they want you to root for their character.
For the hero.
For the hero. They don't want ever the villain to overshadow the hero.
Yeah.
And number two, it's an origin story.
Yeah.
So they don't want to bog you down with learning about someone that isn't driving the plot forward for the hero. So
That is
the
intriguing.
The villain is only exists in these films to change the hero.
Yeah, and ultimately
They're servicing the hero. They're not
Interesting.
there to just be their own person. They're there to make the hero look awesome.
In this case, though, like the bad guys didn't even know about Wonder Woman. There was no like, their paths are gonna meet because of this.
Yeah, but you get the moment with Poison, like I mentioned earlier, where she could die.
Yeah.
With Wonder Woman, and then you do get Ares, who's basically telling Wonder Woman that people suck, and she still makes the right decision.
And then he does kind of like a Zod thing at the end, where he's like, "Join me, and we can take over and get rid of man who sucks."
Kneel before Zod.
No. Did the CGI bother anybody in certain parts in some of the battle scenes?
Some of the jumping.
Right?
Some of the jumping looked a little, okay, that's not really her.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that like she's a god and she can do that kind of stuff, but that's when my mind was somewhat snapped out of the movie for a second. I'm like, okay, obviously that's a CGI sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end battle gets a little kind of Batman versus Superman-y.
It is where they're just throwing each other into
And
shit
it's
and
in the
everything's
dark.
exploding.
It's in like the dead of night. It's not even night. It's just black. Like the background is just black.
Quite honestly, how did anybody survive that?
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy.
I had an issue. I don't know if you guys felt this way. She's in the dead of battle with Ares.
Yeah.
And I think Steve dies. And then all of a sudden she like breaks away from Ares to go hit some people. I'm thinking, you've got a god right here that's about to destroy humanity. Like,
yeah, but
stick with
she
him.
She has to save the band of brothers because the band of brothers are about to get their asses.
That's
kicked.
right.
But she was angry. She was angry.
I know, but she's got to go save her friends.
That's not why
That's a superhero move.
That's not the point I'm referencing.
I know.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I like he goes, I know.
I know. I'm with you.
You're just be quiet for 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
5 minutes is a long time on a podcast.
I already sold it. It's in Hawk. No, but like it's this very, like you said, very BVS sequence of her just like elbowing people in this line, and I'm going, but his fight's not done yet.
Yeah.
You're. This was a weird edit. This is weird.
No, she went to save the guys.
That was after.
It's the same time.
It got a little muddy at the end there. Look, it got a little muddy. We can all agree. What did you guys think of Ares' look, actually, once he showed himself?
I thought it was a really bold choice to shop at the Shop of Mordor.
It's very Lord of the Ringsy. I mean, they're trying to pull from Greek mythology. And
I liked it.
I liked how he like drew it on with his fingers. Like,
yeah.
I was like, that is now my main criticism of Ares is. Why does this motherfucker have a silly walrus mustache? How does a god of war and like that guy's head on a jacked body? Just think about that. That just looks silly. Like,
Imran, did you see the trailer for Murder on the Orient Express?
No, I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, we saw it before our showing of Wonder
I caught it too.
Okay.
If you thought Ares' mustache is big,
yeah,
I'm not kidding you. The mustache Kenneth Branagh has for Murder on the Orient Express is 3 times the size.
Oh, jeez, that's a lot of beeswax on the fucking mustache.
It's huge
to hold it up. But I thought he was gonna visually change. Maybe I was like, this old British fuck with the walrus mustache. This is gonna be. And he looks the same. Only now he has this giant jack body. I just thought that was a little weird.
It had to be him. It had to be that body. Remember, we had the flashback of him like like hunkered down in a cave,
but
shivering.
he like wouldn't have been. I don't know if it would have been better or worse to make him like turn into somebody completely different looking.
The point was that he was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah,
and if he was this jack dude, everyone would be like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
who's this guy?"
Yeah,
but it's the same sort of argument though that like. Does Wonder Woman have to become jacked because she's a girl or because she's a god? Like, I don't really buy that.
See, I don't think she has to be jacked because she is a god. Like,
So then the same argument would apply to Ares, wouldn't it?
But I guess. But like, why is he?
Boom,
but
son.
no, but he gets big. Then he doesn't need to get big.
He gets big with the armor on, yes.
Yeah,
because he's putting on armor.
I think I enjoyed the fact that he didn't change form. I think back to Fantastic Beasts, and again, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
the end of the film. What's his name's character turns into Johnny Depp.
Oh, that's
and
weird.
Everybody's like, that was really a waste. Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell
Farrell's
turns
character.
into Johnny Depp.
Basically, yes, because he's setting up the next film. I know a lot of people were very, very angry about that because the whole film had established this character, and all of a sudden it's like, well, he was just a front. It's actually Johnny Depp.
I probably wouldn't have worked if they changed his appearance to look like, because then what do? You just make him look like a classic Greek, like handsome dude, and I'd be like, oh, what the fuck? So,
I see your point.
Weird, but still worked.
He does not initially when he pops out his Ares. I'm like, that schmuck's Ares?
Yeah, you're like, this guy with a mustache? Get out of here. Also, wouldn't it have killed them to give us a little post-credit scene? Little something.
Actually, I was reading about that.
Something?
They were saying that they want to not steal everything from Marvel.
Oh, I say go ahead.
Why would you want
Marvel. Because it started with her getting the note from Bruce, handwritten note from Bruce, and it kind of ends back there. Maybe we have a little Bruce Wayne cameo leading into Justice League.
They took enough from Marvel as is with the way the story was told and the humor.
Did anybody sit and wait and hope there was one and get disappointed when
I
there
looked
wasn't?
it up immediately.
I did too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm out. I saw people sitting there. I'm like, suckers.
Suckers. See you later. I walked out. I go, there ain't shit, fuckers.
I know you guys really care about who the fucking fourth line grip is, but I'm out of here. Dude.
So here's my question to you all. If there was a post-credit scene, what would you have liked to see?
Something leading into
it'd have to be something leading into Justice League.
Yeah.
Probably they would probably if I was following the Marvel formula, what Marvel would do, they'd probably do have a mother box on Themyscira get discovered or something like that.
Okay.
Oh, that's not
which would imply that not Darkseid is coming.
That would have been great because I kind of wanted her to go back to Themyscira.
She's not allowed, man.
Just to check in.
She's banned, bro.
She got kicked out. Is she booted?
She can never come back.
She can never.
She said if you leave, you cannot come back.
Unless she's on a German plane, then she can.
She could just fly
and then
right
she's a spy, and then she could say she's a spy.
Yeah.
Actually, the cutscene that I would love to have seen is Wonder Twins.
What? I'm form of a tree. Yeah, that's useful. That's useful. Okay. Any other nitpicky things? I think we covered most of them.
That was mine. No, it was good. It was a great movie. I was very happy for them.
Very little to critique. Even the script was good. The acting was good. And for as much as we just said that some of the characters lost their purpose or lost their function, I liked all of them.
Yeah.
The one scene where they were cheering after they saved the village, I'm like, I love this group of people.
Yeah.
I care about them.
I mean, solid origin. This is the movie it needed, and it's also interesting that a fourth movie in a franchise could be the one that turns it around. And I was actually afraid that the casual moviegoer may have been burned 3 times and just completely write this movie off. This is what I'm afraid of.
I forgot one thing.
Go ahead.
What did you guys think of the scene with the kiss?
I thought it was great.
I thought it was fine. Yeah.
I thought a lot of the love stories are always handled kind of shittily in superhero films. They're always kind of shoved in, but I felt like this one was organic, and they were joking around with it earlier where she's like
on the boat was great.
Where she's like, I have to marry you for you to sleep next to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck it, forget it. Like,
did
but
they do it?
The love story, it works. I think it worked. Oh yeah, they fucking did it.
Yeah, that was
she tore him up.
Oh my god.
She destroyed him.
Those teeth on her vagina.
he was walking a little bit funny in the next scene. I don't know if you noticed. He's kind of like had a
Patrick made a comment during the movie, and I won't repeat it because it's just foul. But I mean, yeah, it was. I think we all collectively, as an audience, had that thought, like, man, he's gonna get wrecked.
Oh my God, yes.
I was waiting for Samir to go, yo, Steve, you hit that or what?
Oh, his line was the best in the whole film.
Which one?
Oh, Samir's line, he was like, I'm frightened and I'm aroused.
And I'm aroused. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Did you like it, Kate?
The kiss?
The love scene? Yeah.
I was actually surprised that they went there. I thought that they were going to not do any kind of love whatsoever. Because I just thought that that's how the movie was going. So when they actually had that moment where he came into her room and instead of leaving, I thought, oh, okay.
Oh, she gave him the eyes, though.
I know she gave him the eyes, but...
Yeah, man, when she gave him the eyes, oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
Should I leave the room for a few minutes, guys?
This is why,
I'm going to go clean up.
This is why this movie is great, because it really has stuff for, like, everybody. You know, it has stuff
What,
for...
a sex scene? Or that what you're implying?
No, I'm just saying it's got an empowering woman, but it's got the scenes for,
I'll
the
say
guys.
This is the best romance they've had in a superhero movie since, again, Cap and Peggy.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Peggy.
Yeah.
Well, I was just worried that they would. Some movies get accused of just being convenient with the two leads because they're always together.
Right.
Like just because they share screen time with each other, we have to have a love story. So I was worried, but then they really had good chemistry on the boat in the cave. Oh, the cave scene was great too. What's that?
Yeah, he's
that's
butt ass naked.
That. Oh, it's a watch.
He's like, I'm actually not above average.
The part where she's like, I've studied whatever book she calls it, and she's like, and it came to the conclusion that men aren't necessary for women's pleasure.
Okay, so here's my question about that little conversation. Does that mean, are we to imply that they are all kind of lesbians on the island? Because she was like, look, we know we need you for procreation, but you guys aren't good for pleasure. So where do they go? Where do they go for pleasure? But in their context, like it would just be normal because that's all they know. It's just all women.
I don't know if you caught in the beginning, they were like, she's the only child on this island.
Yes.
So no one's procreating on this fucking island.
No, that's true.
All they do is train. That's
they just train.
It's a code word.
Yeah. We're gonna go train.
Scissoring.
There was another. There was another tower.
Scissoring invented by the Amazons on Themyscira. Now we know.
There was a second tower with
There
other
was
objects.
another tower.
With highly touted objects.
Only one powerful enough can wield this, Diana.
It's
You are
just
not
like-
that person.
There's always steam coming out of that second
The
tower.
Amazon killer.
Yeah. The Amazon killer. Not the God killer. Look.
Sidon?
So we talked about, look, everyone's like, oh, we finally have a great lead female superhero movie. But there've been other great female leads. You think of like Ripley and Aliens. You think of like what Buffy did.
Yeah.
Not the best movies. You have like Scarlett Johansson and everything she does. Lucy, Ghost in the Shell. But I think more important is the fact that this is a female director. And will this change? Is this going to open more doors for female directors in Hollywood to get big budget tentpole movies?
Well, I want to say that it is important that it's a female director, but I know you've mentioned that there's other.
Yeah.
And Rug Boy also mentioned that there's been other female lead films, but I don't know. This feels different. This is Wonder Woman.
It does.
This is the, even like I said, as a kid, I knew who fucking Wonder Woman was. I didn't know who Ripley was. I didn't know who Sarah Connor was. And that's not the first person anyone thinks of as their first. Like Wonder Woman is the definitive woman superhero.
Yeah.
So for that to be made and to be made by a female director and to be done right and for it to be, especially in this time.
Yes.
At this era, like everything doesn't exist in a vacuum. It all happens at a certain time and place. So for it to happen now, I think this was huge, and I think this is. I don't think the movie itself was like this game-changing movie, but its impact, I think, will change things.
No, absolutely. The situation, like this took us this long to get a first live-action Wonder Woman movie, and had they screwed this up, it would have done so much damage. But we said like Suicide Squad was a baby step in the right direction. This is a fucking giant Wonder Woman leap in the right direction. And this is about the time when Jeff Johns came on and started being the guy who knows characters, which is what
we should probably ask a woman's opinion though on this and run.
Okay.
I don't have any opinions. I'm sorry.
Patrick,
what do you think?
He beat us to it. God damn it!
I saw the writing on the wall.
Saw it coming.
Would you like my opinion, Anthony?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking to Patrick about this in the car ride actually to the film, and I was saying how I was such a tomboy. I still am. I mean, let's just put that out there. I was such a tomboy growing up that I wanted to be a superhero so bad. I loved watching superhero cartoons and movies, and I just wanted them to be badass, but there never seemed to be a legit woman superhero that I grew up idolizing. It was always Batman. It was always Superman. It was always, you have your own favorites as well. And I had one come along, I would have willingly followed, but I don't remember having any. Mm-hmm. And so I went into this like thinking she's gotta give 200% to win me over in this film. And I wanted her to do that so badly because we do have so many male dominated films. And I walked out thinking, I don't know how anybody, male or female, could walk out of this and think it was a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys feel like to see a female up there in those type of action scenes leading the action is such an amazing feeling. It's there when it's a male too, but like just to have a female now in the front.
And that's the thing is I can't imagine what that's like because you're right. We grow up, we're watching dudes. You can relate. That's always white guys. And now for the female audience to go through that, like it's got to be, like you said, it's got to be an amazing feeling.
It is.
It's about time.
And I think back to the really great action sequences of the past few movies, the Avengers, Age of Ultron, and the upcoming Infinity War. It's just really cool to see a well-styled fight scene and the kinds of acting, the kinds of writing that you want to cheer for these people because there's no better feeling in movies. That's one of the best feelings. And I just think it's been a tough road to hoe for women in superhero movies. And I feel like I almost held her to a higher standard too. Like you have to kick some ass. Like Harley Quinn was good. Like that was a great step. There's something.
But is that a great model for young girls, to look up to? We finally have a wholesome a model,
it's
which
not,
is
but her performance.
Yes.
Her performance was what I kind of intrigued me because it was something that we haven't seen yet. And we have Black Widow. I'm glad that you brought her up. That's something else that was like, this is awesome. Like she's badass. I get real nervous when movies come out with female driven heroes and they give them, this is going to sound awful, they give them too many female characteristics.
Yeah.
They whether you're a guy or girl and you have the desire to do good, it shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter who you are in that movie.
Right. It's the essence of the character. Yeah.
And I'm so like now thinking about how you guys have compared her to Captain America. Like they do have a ton of similarities and just the earnestness behind both. And
yep.
Man, I'm just, she's my new favorite. I don't even mind that Patrick has a girl crush on her.
No, okay, yikes.
I can't mind. It was so good.
I mean, this is so huge because Wonder Woman is now going to be a blockbuster icon. Gal Godot is going to be, if she wasn't a household name, she's going to be huge from this. Yeah. She will be, up there with your Ben Afflecks, your Christian Bale, your Christopher Reeve. Like, you finally have a woman in this. Do you guys think this sends the message to Marvel that you should have made a Black Widow movie by now?
Yes. That's the one criticism. Well, I have a couple criticisms, but Marvel's been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
They really they could have made a Black Widow
I'm surprised they dropped the ball on this so hard.
They should have been the first ones to make something, and they didn't.
You don't have Wonder Woman.
What's that?
They don't have Wonder Woman.
You don't have one. It would have never been Wonder Woman, but they could have done a Black Widow film.
Yeah.
They could have done it, and they chose not to. And there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that I've read that for reasons why they didn't do it. But they're coming out with Captain Marvel next year, so they're getting to that.
Yeah.
But they're 11, 12, 13 movies in. They could have made a film.
And that's funny that they're going Captain Marvel. Like, why don't you give us a Black Widow movie now? Nobody knows who the fuck Captain Marvel is.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'm looking forward to that, though. I love her.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel will be good, too. Brie Larson.
Yeah, and the character is very interesting. It's very great. So let's wrap up with just talking about a little bit of the creation of Wonder Woman and the guy who created her because he's fucking fascinating. She's been around for 65 years. Like I said, written by William Marston, drawn by Harry J. Peter. Now, here's the deal. William Moulton Marston was a psychologist who is credited with inventing the polygraph, the father of the lie detector. He figured out that when people lie, their blood pressure goes up. So he kind of like rigged up this blood pressure machine. It must have been a joy to be married to this guy. Let me tell you, I can't imagine. Like, he can't do anything. So that's where the lasso comes. And when he wanted to make a superhero, basically he goes, I want to make a superhero that uses the power of love. And his wife was like, that's fine. Just make her a woman. So his wife was really one of the ones that pushed this forward. But not only that, it gets better. In the original bit, she was created by clay, by Hippolyte, and Aphrodite gave her life. So this origin is kind of the new 52 origin, and it's funny. This will be the new cemented origin that she's like a half god, but it was even wackier. Like the original Wonder Woman was very wacky. She was created by clay. Not only that, Marston and his wife, they were swingers a little bit.
Oh, shit.
They lived in a polyamorous relationship. His wife's name was Elizabeth, and there was a third lover named Olive Byrne.
Ooh.
Marston had children with both women.
Olive Byrne and Harry Peter.
Wow. I'm telling you, this guy is a freaky deaky. And Elizabeth and Olive lived together for decades after Marston died. And they were all kind of, they were certainly bisexual also.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Marston died? Well, that's why he didn't get a cameo.
He's not in the movie.
I thought he was going to be like Stan Lee and be in all these damn movies.
I thought Stan Lee was going to be in this movie.
I know. You almost thought that'd be a Stan Lee cameo.
I was waiting for it.
He was into feminism, and he liked the suffragettes, and that was a lot of the inspiration. But way back at the beginning, the mode of transportation on Paradise Island was space kangaroos.
Oh, shit.
They rode around on space kangaroos, battle kangaroos. So they didn't use that in the movie, obviously. Could have worked. Maybe. Probably not.
That would have been a little jump in the shark, I think.
Yes.
All right. So you said it. So transportation. So I'm going to go to the next question.
Yes.
There's no invisible planes on this island, are there?
Yeah, that's also very
Can't see 'em.
silly. I don't know where that started.
How are they going to pull that in?
I don't think they should. I don't think they should. I mean,
they might allude to like her in a regular plane that can go like Avengers style, where it can just camouflage itself. And that'll be like the invisible plane. She's just in a plane that can disguise itself. Yeah, it has a camo option.
Oh, that would be interesting. That could kind of work.
Because they've done that with in Avengers with the helicarrier, where it can reflect off of what's around it.
The problem is Wonder Woman can fly. Why does she need a fucking plane?
Right.
Can someone answer me that question?
Right.
And I don't know.
That's not canon in this, so I don't.
No, and
really
I don't
care.
know if the plane was invented for the cartoon or for the TV show. I don't even know.
Because she couldn't fly in the cartoon.
So was that what we were supposed to think at the end of the film? Like she's now able to fly?
She's flying, dude. She's floating,
okay.
and she flew like at the camera, like fucking Superman. But that's one of her powers.
I don't know that you're supposed to think she can fly, because I think she just jumps.
Or like a leaping, like early Superman.
I think she can just jump really far.
Yeah.
And because in Batman v Superman, which occurs after, she doesn't fly.
She doesn't really fly, but she doesn't need to. I mean, there's a kind of a ground battle there. But that's kind of like early Superman comic books where he would just jump, and he didn't really fly. Yeah. But I was hoping for some space kangaroos, but we didn't. The kangaroos.
No, you weren't.
The kangaroos.
No, you were not.
No, I wasn't. But
there's your post credit scene right there.
Oh, that'd have been good.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Oh yeah, everyone sits around. And they're like, "Fucking kangaroos!"
And their pets come up. Yeah, the space. Apparently,
wearing cosmonaut outfits. What the fuck is this?
She goes to a local zoo, and all the kangaroos just hover around her.
That would be funny.
The kangaroos apparently were brought to the island by alien cats. Also, so it's a wacky. It was the 40s.
A lot of drugs. A lot of drugs.
A lot of Harry Peters.
Harry Peters and Olive Byrnes.
I read something today that I have to share with you. Well, it was partially in your show notes, but then I actually read this on my own.
Okay.
Which makes me sound like I can't read, but I did read it on my own. One of my favorite moments in the whole scene was when she has like a Buddy the Elf type moment when she gets the ice cream.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's an Easter egg. Yes.
World's best cup of
Yes.
best cup of coffee. She has that with the ice cream, and I read your notes about how that's actually in the comics.
Yeah.
And come to find out, Cold Stone Creamery has a very special Wonder Woman flavor.
Right on.
Well, we got to go, guys.
Let's go get some
We're going to
Cold
go get some
Stone.
Cold Stone.
So now we're going to go and tell them you should be so proud of yourselves.
You should be proud of your achievement. That is in the New 52 origin, and it's in the cartoon Justice League War. They do it in that too, but I was glad they did that because I was like, oh wait, that seems familiar, the ice cream bit, and that it was from there. What do you guys want for a sequel? Do you want to see another period piece, or do we want to see Wonder Woman now present day adventures?
Well, I'd like to know what happens in between.
Well, that was my other question. Okay, another big nitpick. If she fucking had this whole thing in World War I, where did she go, and how come nobody has heard of her? This is a huge event. You'd think people would have told stories of this, sent down the villagers. A lot of people saw her. Why did they not know who she was when she shows up in Batman vs. Superman?
Maybe she, she's in BVS, she's lying about who she is. Maybe she told people, or people started to believe that she was killed in that final battle.
Yeah, it's the 1900s, 1910s or whatever. Maybe people were like telling people about this, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here! What are you talking about? There's no fucking. Are you serious? A woman doing this stuff? Get out of here!"
It would have been a crazy myth to keep going for like 100 years.
And plus, she's been hiding, and she's been
Where did she go?
actively hiding. She's in the Louvre.
The Louvre.
She goes to the South Pole because Superman's at the North Pole.
Oh,
she
that's
meets
right.
up with Tom Hanks, and they find all the hidden things and
They find all that, and
Da Vinci Code.
Actually, I think the sequel, if they want to solve that, then they can start the sequel off in modern time, but then explain where she had been for all those years by saying she had to go back undercover because she didn't know if Ares was killed. And I mean, I don't know. I think that if they want to, they can address that.
I mean, do you want to see like? Part of me wants to see like, well, what happened during World War II? But then part of me is like, let's see a contemporary story now. You've set her up. Let's hit the ground running.
I'd be happy with
agree.
either.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at Captain America. How did they handle that for the second
He
one?
froze.
Well, it's built
Right.
into the story. Yeah,
Right.
that
He
was
froze,
Yeah,
and then they put him in this modern.
I'm talking more about the plot, though.
They
too.
found a mosquito that had bitten part of his blood, and he was buried in the ice. The mosquito was.
But the plot of 2 was centered around Bucky.
yes,
Right.
yes.
So are they going to dip back into the doctor, the poison doctor?
or is it Steve Trevor?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's on for another film.
They can do a bunch.
How is he signed on for another movie? What the shit? That's weird.
2 more or 1 more?
Maybe Wonder Woman is pregnant in the second film. Did have the sex.
Ooh.
Wonder
my.
Woman. She's about. Patty Jenkins says she's around 800 years old in this movie. Like, if you're wondering about her immortality, I guess she's just gonna stop at like adulthood. She doesn't age anymore.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Like, you're
Right.
a little girl.
Yeah.
And then
And then
you're
where do you
not
stop
so little.
growing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange.
She ain't gonna get old, or maybe it's just. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Maybe the
it
whole
was really
film is
slow.
her just eating ice cream.
She's trying to
Trying
I
different
can't,
flavors.
Yeah.
And what happens with this franchise if in 10 years they want to do a mashup movie and she's getting long in the tooth?
Well,
they can just explain that maybe there's always sorts of like comic book stuff where they can be like,
sure.
oh, well, she got injected with something that's hindering her god powers, and now she's aging like a human.
now she looks like this. That's good. That's a good question.
That is a good question, though. Or they'll just kill her.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. That's what they like to do.
Yeah.
And then she comes back as somebody else.
They'll Game of Thrones that one.
She retired back to Themyscira, and she's in that other tower playing with the other toys.
Hey, there's also other stuff in this tower. Did you guys see this? All right. This has been great. Any final thoughts on the movie, Caden Patrick?
I am very hopeful now to see Justice League, and I wasn't before.
Good. That is interesting. And I think this is going to make a lot of people excited to see her moving forward, except now she's got to go back to the shitty Zack Snyder version of this universe, and she'll probably get wasted because in Batman vs. Superman, she doesn't have one line of dialogue with Superman. Actually, have you noticed that? Oh. They never talk. They never exchange dialogue, which to me is odd.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Let's not be so fucking pessimistic, Imran. Holy
But Anthony,
shit.
you said that you were saying that this you were kind of upset that we have this great Wonder Woman in this shitty universe.
Yes, I mentioned that off air that I was upset that we have this great character and we've had 3 shitty films. Like it is almost like she doesn't belong with those other people. She belongs like somewhere else. So I am excited to see her. And I'm excited to see her kind of be like the Captain America of this universe, the one that's just always doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited about her, but I'm still very cautious about Justice League.
I could see this Wonder Woman actually leading the Justice League, actually being, in charge and making the shots, like absolutely over Batman.
She totally should be the leader.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be Batman.
It shouldn't.
Batman spent the entire movie trying to kill someone that was a good guy. What the fuck?
Yeah, Batman is the worst detective ever in that fucking movie.
I think you're overlooking the obvious answer.
Yes.
The Wonder Twins are going to lead the fray.
Wonder Twins, powers activate.
Some form of ice.
It's the best kept secret in the entire DCEU.
Form of a sponge. Okay, that's not useful right now. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Patrick, final thoughts on this?
No, I 100% agree with Kate that I wasn't looking forward to that before, and now I am. I agree 100% with that. I thought it was very well done. I'm very happy they went back and they listened to people and they seemed to fix what they were doing wrong. And
yes,
I have hopes. Hopes.
Now that's the most important thing. Like there was so much riding on this. This was the tipping point, and they pulled it off. They listened. They put it in capable hands.
There's a question for you.
Yes.
Had Wonder Woman been shitty?
Yes.
What would have happened?
Well, here I got it.
Yeah.
Well, Justice League was almost done.
Yeah.
So that still would have come out.
Yeah.
Aquaman is in production.
They would have been changing the shit out of that.
They might have been fucking around with that a little bit, but that would have to come out too. But it would literally be like if Wonder Woman sucked, they'd have Justice League and Aquaman, and I don't think WB would be like, yeah, let's keep going.
They might have restarted the whole fucking thing over.
Either that, or they would have been like, we've got these last 2, we're going to crank these out, and we have 2 more shots at this.
Yeah, but I think it took them time. They got there. We had Jeff Johns, who's kind of, hopefully he's like the Kevin Feige of the DCEU. You just need a guy that understands the characters, because clearly they didn't understand the characters and character development and chemistry in the first 3 weeks. But holy shit, this was a win, and this was their backs up against the wall, and they pulled it off. And despite the low bar, it's just a legit, solid origin, all-around fun movie. Well done. Kate and Patrick, thank you guys so much.
Wait, we're not letting them go yet.
No.
Well, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate that.
Oh, here he goes.
Well, look,
anyone that's ever heard their show.
Well, I was going to have them promote their show a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we can have them help promote it in this way.
Okay, go ahead, Anthony. Take it.
Well, see, here's the thing about Patrick. He has this show, and apparently he's just amazing at all these impersonations.
He's so good. Now,
Very good.
Take it away.
I have to be honest. I've been a little rough on him this episode. I can be sarcastic at times, and it can get carried away. But believe me when I say he is so good at impressions, especially accents. And I think the world of your impersonations.
For your listeners, I am the opposite of what they're saying, but I try anyway.
And we were discussing an accent earlier in this film that was quite distinct.
You have a request.
And we were wondering, like, how if Connie Nielsen could pull it off, or any of the other actors.
But all right,
she did. Yeah,
they didn't.
A little shaky.
But we've got someone that's so good at it that we want to see if he could pull off being an Amazon warrior of the mascara.
Patrick,
I'll even help you. Want me to help you?
Yeah, well, yes, please give me a little something.
Diana. No, okay, that wasn't. It wasn't a I say you say kind of thing.
All right, good.
Patrick, I want to hear Wonder Woman discovering a donut for the first time. What would that sound like?
Donut. I have look at the donut. I have to eat the donut.
You should be very proud of this donut.
This donut was wonderful. It's got a hole in it like me.
How do you, oh my God.
Oh shit, I just got that. Very good.
I thought that my cross swastika joke was bad. You went for the hole.
You gotta go for the hole. All right, well, What do you think, Anthony? Passable? Can we
a little more German?
Yeah.
This really is a tough accent to do.
To be fair, Ludendorff's accent was all over the place too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but Chris Pine's German was not bad.
No.
Oh, really?
I liked it. Accents are tough.
Yeah, I won't criticize accents ever.
Accents are so tough.
But just here's the thing: Gal Godot could only play like an Israeli person in every movie from now on.
She did speak other languages in the film.
Oh, I love
did,
that!
yes.
I love that
Yeah.
she knew all those languages, and that she was the one to translate the book. Like it's another power, another superpower she has. She knows all these languages. That was really cool.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Wonder Woman v Superman movie.
Oh, well, I think I know who's going to win.
Oh, I do too.
Who wins that one? What's the mom's name? Or it's the Save Zeus. Why'd you say that name?
It was Hippolyta Martha was actually her middle name.
Hippo Martha. Yeah.
Hippo Martha.
Hippo Martha.
Hippo Martha. You guys, tell the listeners where they can find your show and plug
Where
the
they
shit.
can hear more amazing impersonations.
Yes, because I know they're dying to subscribe right now.
Listen, I'm trying to think back to all the wonderful accents you've done. What are the few that you've nailed, would you say?
Anyone that I've been asked is pretty much what I've nailed.
How about specifically, though, if you could pick one of those dialects?
I'm not going to do that. I know I'm being set up, so forget it.
Listeners, if you enjoyed Gal Godot speaking in all those different languages, then you may not like our podcast because Patrick attempts sometimes to speak with an accent, and it's not very successful, but we do have a good time at least trying. We also love to talk about pop culture in general. Movies, TV, theater, video games. We love to skewer the best news clips of the week while having a really good time. We have an improv background, so that always sneaks its way in along with special guests and Patrick's celebrity impersonations.
Mr. J.
There you go.
There you go.
He's been working real hard on the Harley Quinn one.
Oh, that was Harley Quinn?
I thought that was Rosie from
was
the
Rosie.
Jetsons. Remember?
You said,
Rosie
Mr. J.
Yeah, Mr.
Mr.
Jetson.
Jetson.
Mr. J, the Joker.
Oh, wow. that was confusing. I can
It's
see how
Harley
that's
Quinn
confusing.
as Rosie.
It's a
from the
mashup.
Jetsons.
Again. It's the Exorcist meets Wonder Woman.
Look,
meets-
I just want to, I highly recommend this podcast, listener. Here's a great way in. Go check out the episode where we came on their show and tried to ruin it and didn't quite ruin it, but we tried.
We tried real hard.
And then it'll be a great, I'll put a link in the show notes, jockandnerd.com/170. And really, you guys, you listen to the shit. You are so adorable. Your chemistry together, you just make me smile. It's wonderful. The improv games are great.
It's all a front. It's all fake.
Love it. It's a very, very entertaining show. Good job. Keep it up. Thanks for coming on.
SeeHere'sTheThing.com is our webpage.
There you go.
There you go.
And thanks for hanging out with us. And that's it, listener. Look, if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe so that every show comes right to your pocket. And then your phone vibrates and it gives you a little smile in the middle of the day. You're like, ooh, I like that. Subscribe me again.
What was that again? How did that come again? One more time?
What?
Was that sound effect you just did?
Woo! It was. Did I do a sound effect?
You did.
Oh, hello. Oh,
Funny thing is, my pocket's located on my crotch.
yeah. It's like when Anthony rubs my bald spot at work. I get a similar tingle down my spine
Funny
sensation.
thing is, my bald spot's located on my
I
crotch.
was
Bald
going to
spot.
say, where's your bald spot?
Everything is in the crotch area for some reason. A freak of nature. But the most important thing, listener, tell a friend. Tell someone who saw this movie who wants to hear our dumb thoughts on it. They will enjoy it. Run up to the next person you see and do this. Jock and Nerd. Very secretly, very quietly. Make sure nobody else.
Seductively.
And I have a geek boner.
Seductively. And then Geek Boner. That's for Kate. Thanks
Hey.
for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
We'll catch you next time.